Boots on the ground is so important and remembering where you've been, and I think that to me is always a good sign of leadership. But you're talking about a good firehouse. Is that part of what you're talking about?
When I say it felt more like a real firehouse, I'm alluding to the fact that it had more mentorship, right? More leadership. While it had its problems, obviously, with its leadership and some toxic, ego-driven mentality, I look back and there was a lot of senior guys. And when you're talking about the badge and the ranks, I feel like you don't need a badge or a rank, obviously, to be a leader. There was a lot of senior guys that I remember that took me under their wing, right? I can think of like when on that department I got put on the ladder truck. So I was the third guy in the ladder truck when I wasn't on the ambulance. And the ladder guy that was always the ladder driver, I just specifically remembered there's so many times. So one of the things in that department is that for the first year, you weren't really supposed to be upstairs unless there was a reason. Mostly because you just had so much to learn. You're the first year, like you should be downstairs if you're not on a call, going through all the trucks. You have so much to be going through, and you shouldn't be upstairs watching TV if you're not on calls. You should want to learn more. You're just a probie. And so, I just specifically remember he would come down, and there was one day where I was down in the apparatus bay, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go through the ladder truck?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So he just started pulling things off the ladder. He didn't have a badge. Even to this day, he doesn't have like a badge or a rank, And I just specifically remember him going around the truck and always doing that with me. And, it's something I took with me throughout the rest of my career, even on the ladder truck in the next department. So he was the senior guy to me. There was a few senior guys, and I just remember that that's what makes a really great department is leadership and mentorship. And I think that that's what a lot of departments have lost. Yeah. And so when I went to the other department, we were a very young department, and I was sold this progressive idea, which what I meant by those rose-colored glasses, it sounded great, right? And I was fairly into my paramedic career at that point. So I was like, this is awesome. I want to be a progressive paramedic, and I want to be a progressive firefighter as well. Right. But at the same time, I loved the idea of progressive EMS. It seemed like that's what was going to be happening. It seemed like that's what was going to be happening in general, progressive mentalities. It was sold as that idea, but not knowing that this particular chief was going to be driving out the older generation, knowing now because they knew him. And I don't think he liked that, Right. So I liked having the older generation because I think they have a lot of value. They have a lot of wisdom. And when they started becoming, upset and disgruntled, he didn't like that they were around and they could retire, so they either had to shit or get off the pot, fall
Right.
in line with him or retire early. And so
it's already problematic language when you say fall in line, just for the record. But
right.
Please go ahead.
So many of them